Where we left off last week, Hanayama had wound up that big knockout punch on the charging Chachihoko. And then it all went black. We didn't know what happened after that. Do we find out now that Chachihoko's knocked out and we move to yet another match? Or will we discover that Chachihoko gets back up on his feet and then knocks Hanayama senseless? I don't know. But I do know one thing. Guys, thank you for tuning in for another chapter of New Baki Dou. Let's pick up where we left off last week on the first page of chapter 69. 69 opens up with a different angle of last week's action. It's a close-up of Hanayama winding up that big knockout punch. We get a narrator thrown into the mix. We don't know who or where he is, but considering Kieski is a close-up of Hanayama winding up, we can assume the narrator's somewhere in the front rows. Here's what the narrator has to say. It was a strange form, effectively unsuitable for combat, entirely perplexing. He was not even looking at his opponent, the narrator continues. Far from that of a fighter, it much more resembled the form of a thrower. Like he was winding up energy to throw a discus a great distance away. You know, boxers account for the possibility of a counterpunch. Pitchers, they account for a line drive streaming back at them from the hitter. But here, there was no thought given to countering. There was no thought given to defensive measures. What he saw and what the narrator explains to us as we get a different angle of Hanayama winding up, larger than the last, it was a form of someone who overemphasized offense to an extreme degree. There was not the slightest hint of defense, this concept of defense in Hanayama's mind as he launched this massive knockout punch. We get a great panel of Hanayama's big, muscular, scarred-up fist colliding into the face of Chachihoko here. The narrator continues. Thus, the force of the impact when that punch landed in Chachihoko's face was staggeringly massive. Again, the narrator uses the words. Staggeringly massive. The art styling details here, well, they're befitting of the title. It looks like a grenade went off, followed by a trail of fireworks, following Chachihoko as he soars through the air here. He soars, his feet leave the ground, his hair knot just about becomes undone. There's blood gushing from his mouth and his nose. He's got teeth visibly missing, teeth flying through the air. And then Chachihoko slams into the ground lifelessly. Kieski still gives Chachihoko a full-page panel. He occupies that full page. He's a shiny man, completely unblemished. It's just his face that's bashed up, but I wish he'd opened his eyes. Now we get 2 pages squeezed together. We get a large quarter arena view of everything that's going on here. Everybody in the stands, although small, you can tell are on their feet leaning forward, taking all this in. In the foreground, we've got Chachihoko still on his back on the arena floor, and in the background, we've got Hanayama standing tall with his hands in his pockets. The announcer goes on to thunder. And he's down. With the very first hit, Grand Sumo's been knocked flat by a Yakuza gangster's punch. The champion of street fighting, Hanayama, stands ready with his hands back in his pockets. Baki and Katsumi now. Baki says, dude, he just decked that guy in one punch. Katsumi now, he's saying, Hanayama's resolve to just punch, to just be an offensive beast, won out against the Rikishi's resolve to be hit and to take anything you can dish out. Action shifts to Takugawa and the retired Yokozuna now. Yokozuna says to Takugawa, it's over. Takugawa, it's over, isn't it? Takugawa takes a look at what's before him. And then he takes a second look and says, why, Yokozuna, you just take another look. Chachihoko, he's lifted his head off the ground ever so slightly. I think he means to get back up. Although Chachihoko here is paneled with some googly eyes, it does look like Takugawa's onto something. Moreover, Takugawa continues, moreover, realistically, Hanayama could win this fight anytime he wanted. He could kick the man, he could punch the man, he could end it any old way that he wants. But he's going to wait for Chachihoko to get back up. I think that's what's going on here, Yokozuna. The announcer continues to surge. What's this? Is he waiting? He's waiting for him. Hanayama is actually waiting. He's actually waiting for Chachihoko to get back up. We get a full-page panel of this action here. Now, in the foreground, we've got Hanayama taking up the better part of the panel with his hands in his pockets, and Chachihoko in the background looking a little smaller, shaking, but still attempting to get up. The announcer continues to thunder. The expression on Hanayama's face, it's almost something that says, come on, get up, warrior. Get up back on your feet, warrior, and let's finish this one man to man. Hanayama defiantly passive right now as he waits with his hands in his pockets for Chachihoko to get back up. Everybody in the stands giving out their exclamation kanji as they study the action below. Chachihoko now closer to getting up. He's on his knees now. The announcer continues to thunder. Chachihoko is starting to rise. He's starting to rise. Hanayama now taking his hands out of his pockets, getting ready for something, I don't know what, and the announcer goes on, and now we're off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a true contest of manliness. I don't know what's going to happen next chapter, but I think that maybe Hanayama's going to go flying. Either that or Chachihoko's going to go flying, but somebody's getting a bloody nose. That much I know for sure. Guys, thank you for being here to hear this from me. Make sure to thumbs up this video and to subscribe to my content so next time you can be on the front lines to hear it first from me again. Thank you so much. Take care, and I will see you on the next video.